You're entering the MSP Zone, a podcast for the managed services community, covering news, analysis, and interviews from around the globe. Elevate your MSP game by staying in the MSP Zone. And now, your host, Charles Weaver.
Welcome to the MSP Zone. We're talking about MSP documentation. I know some of you might be saying, oh, I don't want to hear about that. It's kind of a boring topic. It's not boring. It's actually one of the most exciting things because when you get documentation done right, you have amazing results in how your MSP practice runs, its scalability, its efficiency, its security, and on and on. Just so many benefits if you start the documentation process and you actually get it finished. Now, I get asked this question a lot. Charles, what is the MSP documentation? What do I need to do? When is a good time to start? I thought I only needed to document my MSP practice if I'm getting certified. Is that right? Is it wrong? Or this is the best one. I'm going to start the MSP documentation later. I'm going to do that. I got more important things to do. I'm running my business. I'm running my MSP. I don't have time to be bothered with documentation. Not true. In fact, I'm going to give you some helpful tips on how to not only understand the importance of MSP documentation, when you should start, and how you should go about doing it, and what will be involved in that whole process. And it's actually a lot easier than you may have realized. Number one, why is MSP documentation so important? Great question. The best thing best analogy I've ever heard, and one I use a lot, is it's like a compass. If you're going out on a long journey, you would never start that journey without having an idea of where you're headed. Preferably, you have a destination. But if you don't have a destination, at least you have a general direction of where you're going. And that analogy works quite nicely with MSP startups, particularly. But also MSPs that have been doing this for a long time. Maybe you're a VAR or break-fix shop and you're transitioning into managed services. The analogy still works. You have to have a general direction of where you're going or where you want to end up. Otherwise, you're just going to wander aimlessly. And MSP documentation, just like strategy, just like having a business plan, these are all parts, really important parts for embarking on your MSP adventure. Now, part two, what exactly is MSP documentation? Now that you know why it's so important, what goes into it? I'm going to give you kind of three layers or three general categories of documentation. These are not necessarily specific to MSP. They can apply to a lot of different businesses, but I'm going to make this hyper-specific to the MSP space. Number one, I'm going to call them general policies and corporate governance documents, right? These are going to be things like your human resources documents, HR documents, like maybe an employee manual, an employee handbook, something that deals with how employees are hired, things that are not specific to an MSP, but they're going to deal with your staff, your employees, and how they work within your company. You might also have some things like your business plan, your business strategy. You might have some corporate risk documents, things like that. Strategy. They all go into general policy documents that every business ought to have, every MSP practice should definitely have. Next category I would call kind of a procedures and process category of documents. These would fall under more specific to service delivery. For example, how does the MSP business or practice or department handle things like backup as a service? How does it handle ticket creation, ticket documentation, ticket closures, ticket archiving, ticket deletion? Hopefully you don't delete tickets, but you get where I'm going. You could have almost probably every service catalog component of your MSP practice should have some measure of documentation associated with it, because it will make that service delivery catalog component even easier to implement, to monitor, to manage, to govern. And again, I don't want to go through the entire list because it could be so many, but you would certainly want to have things in there that talk specifics about how you deliver a service and could even be given to, let's say, new hires as a training document. It could be certainly used to kind of govern or enforce a policy, right? If you want to make sure that your staff are doing what they're supposed to be doing, a document like this is the first necessary step. All right, now that we know what procedures are, I'm going to get to the final kind of category of document, and it's probably going to be the last step, but it can be very easy if you've done the first two steps, and that is controls. Now, for those of you who are in the Cyber Verify program for last 20 years, you know what I'm talking about when I say controls, right? These are the most fundamental building block of an MSP service delivery engine, and that would be the individual component steps that you take as an MSP. I'll give you a great example going back to backup. All right, so if you have a backup system inside your business, hopefully you're doing it, let's say, every day. A control might look like my MSP backs up our data every day, once a day, and stores it for 30 days. And it's encrypted and it's located in this cloud location. And that would be a control. And you could have a very different control. You could have a slightly different control. It doesn't matter, but that would be a specific control component that would go into or come out of, I should say, from a larger document like a backup policy that talks about generally how you handle data preservation within your practice. And you would do that exercise for all the different things that you do in your company. You could do that for add, move, change requests. You could do that for let's say how you do risk assessments, how you handle vendor risk assessments. You could do that for how you handle any certain like admin change activities that take place might come with some sort of extra review in the MSP management. That's a very common process, by the way, that a lot of mature MSPs follow for obvious reasons. But those are all controls, and you should have those at some point documented, written down someplace. Now, what I said before about MSPs who are being certified, whether it's Cyber Verify, whether you're getting a Cyber Verify report, whether you're getting a SOC 2 report, if you're getting ISO certified, and a few others, you're going to have this baseline component of controls established. When I say established, written down. That process of writing controls is very, very easy, assuming you've got process already established. And if you've got process established, you should also have the process documentation, right? You see where I'm going? There's a theme here, right? They go hand in hand. The process that you deliver and you follow every day, hopefully, is then easier to document. And from that document, you then can further break down what individual controls look like and document those. Finally, common question, when should I start the documentation process? In my opinion, if you're a startup, you start at the very beginning. As soon as you've written your business plan and you start to go out to market and start to acquire tools, you should start the process of documenting your process. You should start to have policy documents, procedure documents. You don't have to write down your controls necessarily. If you're going through Cyber Verify, it's going to do that for you, right? So don't even worry about it. You're going to have controls, even if you're a startup that you've been in the business for a month. That process of putting you through Cyber Verify is going to yield all that documentation and the controls. If you're an existing MSP and you've never done this type of kind of a project before, I definitely start to do it quickly, because the the days really, and we've talked about this forever, the days of MSPs just being able to say, yeah, we're safe, yeah, we're secure, yeah, we preserve data, we're private, we have good data privacy, data security policies, and not having evidence of it, they're over, right? Customers demand transparency. They want to know, trust but verify, right? That's why Cyber Verify exists, is for you to be able to proactively give them information that satisfies them, puts their mind at ease, and lets you get down to business as their MSP. So start now, because what it's going to do is help you become more secure, more scalable, more efficient, and you'll have it written down so that you can hire more people. You can continue your growth. You don't have to worry about one person having everything locked up in their head. And you know how that goes. That never works out to anybody's benefit. And the documentation process, once you've gotten it underway, it is so simple. And when you change it, it's easy to change. And trust me, it will have amazing results and benefits to your MSP practice. Get started today. Till next time.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a like. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you will get notified when future episodes are released. We will see you next time in the MSP Zone.